Sam is the owner of D2D Experts, founder and owner of DoorToDoorCon, which most of you have probably heard of. He's written several books, spoken on stages all over, not just the nation, but the world, Australia, all kinds of places, Canada. First off, I just want to jump straight into it, Sam, and just talk about kind of the door-to-door industry as a whole and kind of where it's going, where it's been. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen over the last, 20 years you've been in door-to-door?
I mean, it's the same in a lot of ways, but there definitely has been some changes. So I want to start with like the same, because I think some people try to reinvent what is door-to-door. It's been around for 100+ years, right? They've been doing door-to-door. My great-great-grandpa or great-great-great-uncle was Grant Taggart, and he went and borrowed a horse in early 1900s and went door-to-door for 2 years selling insurance. And you know what I mean? So it's like you go, you knock on door, you talk to people. There's nothing more that can change from that. And I think too many people are trying to creatively work their way around that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do all the things, but pick up hand and knock door, talk to human. And then they're wondering, why are they not making the money they want to make? And why are they not growing their business? I'm like, I don't know. You're not doing the one thing in door-to-door called door-to-door. Door. Like, you're doing all the things but knocking a door. Congratulations. So I want to reiterate, the thing that has not changed is called talk to people and go door-to-door. The things that have changed, though, in the 20 years that I've done this, we started doing street sheets. So let's just use Repcard from an example. So I'm out there, selling platinum. In 2008 was my first year. And, what does that put us at? 26, we're in almost 26.
18.
Yeah, that's been a minute. So, guys, so this is why it puts it in concept. And I did door-to-door in high school. So I've even done it since I was 11. But 2008 was my first year selling alarm systems with platinum protection. And they would give you these street sheets where it was just a piece of paper and they had columns on it, and you would write on one side of the page, the left side of the street, 101, and the right side of the page, you write 102. And you would then write 103, 104. And most neighborhoods were pretty smart about putting the street numbers accurately going up by odd numbers. And then you get into a neighborhood and you'd be like, what the hell? Who drew this street? Be like 101, 109. And you're like, what happened to one? You know what I mean? You're just like, why are they skipping so many numbers? And then your street sheet would get all messed up. And then how you would knock your territory is you would go around and you would label, not interested. You would write, didn't want it. And I had a whole system where I draw little dots, and the dot would mean how many times I knocked the door. And then if they weren't home, right? So it's like I could see 4 dots if they weren't home 4 times I tried to find that person home. And then I would draw a penis if they were a dick. And then I would, you know what I mean? I'd draw a smiley face on a go back. And I just had my own pin dropping.
Yeah,
yeah. And some of your Repcard pins might be absolutely never go to that house again, which was my penis pin. And some of them might be just not interested, right? So what's interesting is now you've built the first apps, right? Like Street Genie with Vivint, Sales Rabbit was the innovator. They kind of came out in the satellite space. And now there's many different ones. And it's been cool because Brad with Repcard was a digital business card. And I had at the similar time launched an automated vanilla texting software, right? And he was always like, oh, we should sync. And I almost was gonna do stuff here. You know what I mean? The history there is pretty deep. And what's cool is the digital business card world of direct selling, the world was hand out a business card, but that doesn't get you anywhere, right? Yeah. Now it's I don't do cards. Here's my tap, here's my scan, here's my, you look at back in the day, it was flyering cards. Now you might stick a sticker on somebody's door with a simple QR code. It says nothing. They're like, what's this? Scan. Now you IP'd them. You got their data. You put them into a funnel. You've got follow-up. You've got videos you can send them. You know when they open that. You know what I mean? You know whose QR code it was versus does that make sense? Back in the day, it was I hope they call me, and I would never leave cards because I'm they won't ever call me, right?
Yeah.
And so we go to the
What a waste of money for business cards, right?
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what a waste. It's like guys would be like, hey, where's your business card? I'm like, if I printed those and gave those to every one of my sales reps, it'd be more of a cost than a moneymaker. You know what I mean? Like, it was just
Yeah.
like, why do we do that? And then I also thought it was always a cop out because I'm like, okay, if I hand you my card, that's just a nice way for you to say no. Just be blunt. Tell me you're never going to call me and tell me you hate me. Like, I'd rather get that than, oh, yeah, totally. We're super interested. Do you have a card? And I'm like, oh, really? You're really interested?
And
And
they
then
throw
I
it
got
in the
my
garbage.
yeah, and then I just freaking got my hopes up, and I'm like, oh wait, I do that to people. I'm like, oh, fair enough, fair
Yeah,
enough. That's just how
yeah,
humans nicely tell you no. But
100%.
the cool part, if I can collect your data, I can nurture you, educate you, jab, 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 right, hook you. I can give you some sense of cultural connection to my company for the next forever. And maybe you buy in 2 years when your house gets broken in, or maybe your lawn care guy missed 2 appointments and he doesn't want to come anymore. You know, whatever the service is, and you're like, wait a minute, that guy that's been emailing me once in a while, I maybe give him a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that follow-up game and the data management, none of that existed. And now it's about how do you architect a good strategy to maximize data and stay organized, which has been really cool to see on the door knocking side. But then the gamification side and some of the other, I remember at Solstice, it was me in a spreadsheet, 2000, I mean, this is 15, 16. Um, I'm updating a Google Sheet 5 times a day. This
Track and
guy's in the
fill.
lead, Steve got one, screenshot, send it in group me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that was my
you do what works, but door to door has come a long way, especially with just like processes and technology and the systems that we now have in place. It's becoming more and more real. Like, Sam, you've always been like door to door is a real gig, and people just don't take you seriously. And nowadays, like it really is a real gig. It's the real deal, and people are going to take us seriously.
yeah, and you should be proud of that. But again, don't ever take the door to door out of door to door. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. No, I love that for sure. Don't take that out. And the one thing you guys will know about Sam is he's the most innovative person you've ever met. So there is a way he was canvassing before, long before there was a canvassing tool with his smiley faces and other images he's drawing 100%. But I love the innovation. So Sam, let's start back from the beginning. You started out painting the addresses on curbs, right? Wasn't that your
yep,
first gig?
yep.
Okay, love it. So he started painting the addresses on sidewalks, and then what was your next gig in door to door?
So then went into alarms. And what a lot of people don't know is I had the short sprint of my senior year of high school, actually. I did Cutco, or like not a Cutco, it was Master Cut knives and a ShamWow Quick Chopper 2000s. And I'd sell those in Kmart's. I don't even know if Kmart's still around.
That's like gone
Um,
now.
and then I did alarms. And in between alarms, I did food storage sales, which a lot of people don't know. And then I did
Yeah, I
solar.
actually attended one of Sam, your like food storage meetings at your house long time
That's
ago. I don't know if
that's
you remember that.
awesome.
That was one of the first times I came to your house. We went to like a food storage meeting
Oh, that's so
to
funny.
buy food storage.
Hey, yesterday I just signed up a food storage company to start consulting, which is so funny. It like brought me back to my
Circle.
roots. Yeah, full circle. I was like, guys, little do you know, I sold some of this stuff. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, we can freaking work this. So long story short, then I did solar in 2016 and then 2000 or 15, 16, 17, end of 15, 16, 17. And then I got out right before it started getting good. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I just seem to time things wrong. And then I got into the sales coaching world and event space in 2018, end of 17, early 18.
Yeah, so you guys, D2D Con is coming up, and I'm extremely passionate and lucky enough to be able to kind of still help Sam out with D2D Con. But Sam, I want to go back to the beginning of D2D Con and when you kind of had this idea, what created that passion and desire for you to go out and create an event like DoorToDoorCon?
Um, I, I mean, I'm sitting on a rock and I'm like on this meditation retreat. And some of you guys may have heard the story. And it's day 2. We're like fasting for 3 days. I don't know. I signed up for some woo woo, like boys camp looking thing. And I'm day two, and I'm probably hallucinating at this point because I'm so hungry. And I think that's why Jesus fasted for 40 days, maybe. I mean, maybe he just had better hallucinations or something at day 12. He's like, the trip gets better. I don't know. He'll say something about fasting. Anyway, so I'm like, get this download, and God's just like, hey, you should start an event and for all the door-to-door people. And I was like, oh, I don't think that'll work because they all hate each other and they compete against each other and they all rip each other's heads off and whatnot. And anyway, I just felt really called to like go help unify, up level, and bring honor and integrity to the space. And and that's kind of what we really tried to align every product, every service, every event. Like we make it more than just door to door. It's like how do we make it swaggy? How do we make somebody proud to be a door-to-door person? I mean, I used to wrap my truck and it said I knock doors, and people are like, "What business is that?" You're like, "No, it's just a sticker that says I knock doors." Like I'm just proud of that. You know what I mean? And like, oh, okay, like you're one of those guys. You know what I mean? Because so many people are just like, "What? That's a job?" Like, so just to have that like pride and give it more resource. There was nobody else putting content on the internet about door to door, and so we started making videos about us in the field knocking and showing off, what it's like and giving resources. So we created DDD University, and we've had 60,000 different students over the decade we've been doing this now. And we've just keep innovating ways to help support business owners through recruiting, training, consulting, masterminds, and it's been a really fun journey.
Yeah, that's probably one of the coolest things is just having that abundance mindset rather than that scarcity mindset. And that's what I loved about all of the events that, you guys do, as well as the Circle Mastermind or the League, having you guys actually put together a group of business owners that are going through the same thing. They've been in each other's shoes to help each other out, but not to be scared to give ideas away. Ideas aren't what make businesses great. It's got to take the right people, the right, all the right processes, systems, operations. It takes a lot of things to make those take off. So just a great idea isn't going to go very far without
100%.
everything else in place. So that's been really cool to watch you guys, grow that, and that I got to be a part of that. It's really awesome. So okay, so from DoorToDoorCon, you guys, it's coming up on the ninth year of D2D and it's happening in January. Sam, over the years, what have you seen transform and change in the door-to-door space as you've been doing this event? Talk to us about like year one to like now year nine, what that looks like with companies.
Yeah, and I think like there's a world of scarcity, and there's still a little bit of that. And we're still trying to be like, guys, like get over it. It's life. Uh, but year one, it was like a bloodbath. Vivint throws an event down the hall, brings Grant Cardone for free, trying to recruit everybody, and it was everybody was nervous to bring their people because they're like, are they going to get recruited? And we had to kick some people out. Like we literally had to like say, you got to go. And over the years, we duct tape everybody's shirt and we say no recruiting. If you have your logo on there, we don't even want the logos on there. Like we try to create a safe container. And, we invented this award called the Golden Door Award. And, it really just was like, is anybody going to care about this? Like I started calling people that sold like top 1% reps. And I was like, we built this award. Do you want to come get it? You earned it. What's that? Like half of them were like, no. Half of them were like, sure, why not? Do I get a free ticket? I was like,
Add it to
sure.
my wall.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, everybody likes a cool thing on their wall, right? And then the next year we doubled the award. Like we went from like maybe 25 people to 50 people got the award. And last year I think we gave like 160 golden doors away. I don't know, you're like a lot, you know what I mean? Like I think we had 680 golden door winners since inception now. And it's become like a staple of like, are you in the top 1%? It's a third party validated. Like we go through a whole verification process to make sure it's legit and do our best to like really promote you and honor you for being the top 1% in your industry. And we have like 15 industries now they give that award for. And so the cool part is that, and then what's happened since is like the people that you'd never think they'd never sit at the same table now are sitting at the same table sharing and eating dinner together where they're like biggest competitors in each other's markets. And before it's like that they would have never ever met, let alone like been hanging out and built friendships. And some of them have even become partners in certain aspects. And some of them have, you know what I mean? It's been cool to watch like those that have played an abundant way of thinking, given this a shot, have found more synergistic opportunities that they would have never thought were possible. And then the elevation of the industry, those that have bought in and understood it. I went golfing with John Taylor. He's the founder of Grit Marketing. And I was asking him about just the Golden Door because they've won more Golden Door awards than any other company in any other industry. I think,
They market it like crazy, you
yeah,
guys.
like it's,
That's the other thing. It's impressive.
they market it, they push their guys to hit it, they, ideate with me on how do we make it better. And they bought in from the beginning because John got a Golden Door the first year. DoorToDoorCon won, he was a Golden Door winner. And he saw the opportunity with it and he grabbed it, where some people were like, I don't even want my people to know DoorToDoorCon's a thing. So some companies like don't even tell my people. And what's interesting, so I'm golfing with John, a couple Golden Door winners that have won multiple, and I was like, what do you think revenue wise this has done for the industry, just for your company? Where back when John got it, the average contract value was $400. He sold 1,000 accounts, so he did 400,000 in revenue, to put things into perspective. And we then were like, well, what if we made revenue a metric and we'll put it at 550,000? And everybody's like, no way people hit that. I was like, well, some people might want to up their contract value, but they maybe don't sell 1,000 accounts. And he's like, yeah, good point. So now some people are like gaming the system and they're like, well, let's just sell higher contract value and we'll sell 550,000 contract and then it ups to 550. And all of a sudden a bunch of people start hitting that. We're like, dang, we need to like up the award again. So 650, we made it 650. And then a bunch of people, we had 74 pest control Golden Door winners last year at 650,000. Well, this year we hit 750 was the mark. And you had to do 750 homes minimum. Well, what's crazy is we had guys still in November knocking today, and he's had probably 9 reps hit Golden Door this month. He's a summer sales program, meaning how do you convince people to knock in September, October, November, and stay out and individually do $300,000 more or go out early than they would have ever fathomably thought possible. We upped it $100,000 in revenue, collectively more people for that. And he probably did an extra per year, 20 to $40 million more in revenue as a company, just because guys cared to try to chase after this little plaque on a big stage, which goes to show people want to do this as a sport, not a job. Like, could have they gone home in September and made enough money to survive? Hell yes. Did it change their life doing 400,000 in revenue? Yes. Was it a great summer gig? Yes. But that extra 200, 300,000 at the end of the year pushed the company revenue up, their personal revenue up, and became life changing because they had something to fight for, because they wanted the accolade to say to their people in a recruiting conversation, I'm a Golden Door winner. They wanted validation to say our company has more Golden Door winners than anyone else, which I think too many people don't realize in door to door. If you can have external motivation that's beyond just go make my paycheck every Friday to get by, that's how you go sell at a highest volume and build a business that's bigger than you just taking a good lifestyle income.
Right. Yeah, no, I love it. It has really transformed businesses. And I think when you first had that idea of like a cool award, never knew what it would really transpire to and become. So it's really incredible how it's impacted these businesses over time. It's impressive.
And I think the vendors, like, let's take Repcard, for example. I remember Brad starting out, I think he came to year 2 and he just launched a business. Guys, Brad, the owner of Repcard, was a door-to-door guy. He did pest control. And no money, starting a technology. He calls me, he's like, hey, can I be a vendor? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you a credit and I'll give you on a loan. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't think I can pay the booth if you have no money. I was like, well, just let's figure something out. I need to fill some space. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm a startup. And what's interesting is it gave him hope because he was able to get his first customers at that event. Like, he launched at DoorToDoorCon. And we've seen other people launch their business. Like, we have a new business this year coming, and it's like, I heard of you. And it's like, this is our way to get our name out there and connect and make a staple. And I also think just to go collaborate with vendors like Repcard that have been there for a while and just been able to be boots on the ground and connect with their clients and get new clients. We have 100+ vendors every year. And just to be able to network with accountants and tax strategists and real estate investment opportunities, different technologies, marketing, swag, all the things it takes to really become successful as a business. Like that to me is a piece that people don't recognize, because I'm like looking at all these vendors and being like, man, I've invested with these ones and I've partnered with these ones and I've used these three and I've not, you know what I mean? I'm curious about that one. And, it's
Yeah.
like we all have an ecosystem of tools that drive us to success, whether we're a sales rep or a business owner. And it's kind of like, what's the latest and greatest of those? And I
Right.
never thought the vendor, like they were in the back, like little, like, you remember year one, like it was like this little corner part of the main stage, like, oh yeah, we've got like a little cutout section over here that you can put up a table. Now we have a full conference floor. Like it's crazy.
Right. No, it has grown so much, and that's kind of where I wanted to go next, Sam. Then as you started to build out D2D experts and ways to help these businesses, and one of those biggest parts of that is creating a place for and a space for vendors to come in and be another tool. What you offer at D2D experts, your consulting and the circle and all the other events and boot camps and things that you host, all of the playbooks that you've written, like it's totally transformed businesses. But then also to open up the door to allow P League members or us as a partner to come in and be able to work with them and that abundance mindset again of saying, hey, come in, they've got a tool that can help your business. So there's tons of tools here but they're going to help you transform your business and get it to that next level. So that's been cool. Sam, I want to hear about some of the other aspects. I know you guys do recruiting. You guys have a lot going on over there. So tell me about some of the things outside of DoorToDoorCon that you guys are doing at D2D Experts.
Yeah. And I think like our mission is, it's funny. We started as a unify, up level, bring honor and integrity to DDD. That's a door-to-door con mission. It's more of like that one piece. And a lot of people don't realize that DDD experts, we aren't that. Like we have tools. We're a service-based business. We're education. And I was like, oh, like we need a new mission. So we said we're a catalyst for continual transformation. And what that means is like we just took 80 business owners to Iceland last week, where we were able to work on communication. We had this author, Erwin McManus, who wrote the book, Seven Frequencies of Communication. And we talked on how to become a better communicator in your own mind, a better communicator to your loved ones, and a better communicator to your team and expand your mission as a business owner. So we have a mastermind where we help CEOs really up level in every category of their business. Well, a lot of business owners, they're juggling 60 different things. And two big ones that they suck at because they don't have the time and energy is training their people. Because a lot of small businesses, they have to play manager, business owner, bookkeeper. They're playing like five
Salesman.
hats. Yeah, salesman. Yeah. And so we were like, what is, I'll give you a sales tip, Michael. So
Sam's full of those. Don't you worry. We'll get there.
this is important because what most businesses struggle with is training. So what happens is we then said, let's build a tool where we'll white label our industry specific content. So like roofing universities, solar university, pest control university, fiber university, et cetera. And we said, let's like fly out and film and edit and build out their own, ABC roofing university.com. And we've done over 750 corporate build outs. But the surprising sales tip that I'll give you right now is we've had 750 companies we built sales training for. The question is how many of the sales guys, once they get a login, actually care about sales training? So you're on here. I don't know you, Michael. I don't know what industry you're in. I don't know where you're at. But the question I have is sales tip number one is, do you actually invest in your own sales training to become better at selling? And obviously you're on the webinar. There's thousands of people that aren't on the webinar that could have been on the webinar. So that already is an indicator that you care. What's interesting though is the company owners will say, cool, I got my 50 sales reps in the training, but then they call me 3 months later, how come nobody's watching it? So the next piece is how do you implement as a leader accountability to making sure people watch videos, running reports, giving incentive, giving some kind of gamification to just training. How do you make people get better? Because it's not that like people are bad. I just think there's bad leadership to hold accountability to actually making great salespeople. Now, you hire somebody off Indeed, or you go and look and say, okay, everybody that's in sales right now, say, what was your professional sales training before you got into sales? versus the sales training you've learned on the job. And I think that's the hard part, is people don't give themselves enough grace and or have not spent the meaningful money and time professionalizing themselves as a salesperson. They just got a sales job hoping to be a professional. But I don't know a professional pilot, professional actor, professional basketball player. I don't know a professional anything that did not go to years of school and training and spend meaningful money and dollars and time, then started a profession. They were working as a waiter for 6 years, going to school, then became a lawyer. Does that make sense? Like, it was, you were working as a waiter, then became a salesperson, but did nothing to transition yourself to being a professional.
Yeah.
The second piece we do is recruiting, which I think is a piece that most salespeople fail to do simultaneously as they sell. They're like, that's a second hat. That's another muscle. That's like a, how do I sell and recruit? And then how do I run a team? And how do I go build a business? Like, now we're talking, I'm juggling 17 balls. So we are an outsourced recruiting firm that does from software analytics to actually doing the interviews to actually placing candidates for you. So any of that piece of the pie that you need, we have, from the automated job postings to the data and analytics to the automated following up with every applicant to the scheduling interviews to then even automating the interviews to the AI to all of that, so that you can recruit automatically and outsource that role. Because you're like, why aren't we scaling? You're like, you want me to sell, you want me to recruit, you want me to do all the things. Like, what do you like? I can't do all of the things all of the time. And as a business owner, a salesperson, that's really hard. So we are just a service to support the tools needed for somebody to sell lights out.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest problems or issues that business owners have is that exact thing where your first impression is your only impression. So that's one thing right out the gate. But in order to recruit, it's all about that initial impression or experience that they have. So if it's very unprofessional and they don't have training set up, if the onboarding process isn't set up correctly, if you didn't call a guy back, you're ghosting them, and your recruiting pipeline is falling short. Like, I just want to reiterate that is one of the biggest sales tips, is to continually recruit and to make sure that they're recruited in the right way, so that they are continually, being followed up with, have a professional experience, they have training, they have the support that they need.
And so that's why we kind of look at it as like a three-legged stool: leadership, recruiting, and sales training, right? So if you think of like, how do I be successful at this? It's not like, oh, Sam, send me a bunch of bodies. I'm like, well, once they get there, then what?
Then what? Yep.
Well, they got to train. Okay, so now we got to that leg. And they're like, okay, they're watching the videos. I'm like, dude, that's not where this ends. The leadership, are you going out in the field with them? Are you running the meetings? Do you have gamification? Are you holding them? Are you looking at their rep card every day and saying, you only knock 20 doors? Are you competently actually putting them in the right areas? Are you giving them a pay scale that makes sense? Like, there's a lot of other pieces to that than just recruit bodies and put them in videos. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so that's the three legs that some people don't take ownership over enough of. Like, they always want to blame the area, or they want to blame the rep, or they want to blame XYZ. And I'm like, no. This is how do I take accountability and then delegate, eliminate, leverage, create automation to systemize so I can do more faster. So let's take sales tip number 2. Ready? This is for you, Mike. Why does Repcard? Why does Recruitomatic? Why does DDDU? Why does that all exist? Properly implemented, you go and say, well, that you're selling us a bunch of shit right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to say, why did these exist? It simply is, one, to free up time and create efficiency. That's the only reason this exists. Because I was running street sheets, and then how efficient is it to, if I'm a manager, to say, hey, turn in your street sheet, and I hope you knocked that neighborhood. And I hope you knocked 100 doors a day. And I hope that you were trained. And I hope that you didn't say anything stupid. And I hope that, does that make sense? So then the best sales tip I could give you right now is, how do you create more efficiency? Most people, it isn't a sales skill ability, it's an efficiency problem. And when I went from 300 sales, or when I went from 300 sales to 400 sales in alarms, and was the #1 rep at Vivint, I did very well in sales. It was not because I changed my pitch. It was I changed my efficiency. My average sales cycle went from 45 minutes down to 28 minutes. I then rode scooter door to door. I created less time between doors. I then didn't move areas as much. I said every time I move an area, I lose efficiency because I have to regain momentum. So I only sold in two, I had a third area, but really two areas all summer. I never moved. Why? Because I said I can have a more sniper based approach in a more consolidated area because what creates inefficiency? When I drive across town in traffic all over the map, trying to go from appointment to appointment to not ever even sell anybody. And
Yeah.
so I said, how do I just create less time between doors, more time talking to qualified buyers? And if I can be in front of more qualified buyers with the highest efficiency of a sales script. So when I think of a sales script, it has to do with speed of trust. So when you're trying to build a sales script, it's like I have to break the wall, create trust as fast as possible. Meaning, if I knock a door and say, I've sold 35 neighbors in your effing neighborhood, you probably know 50% of them. I'm obviously not crazy. Let me step in. That was my pitch. What is your pitch? Hi, would you be interested in, or hey, we're actually trying in this neighborhood. I'm like, I'm not trying anymore. The question is, are you going to be one of the only ones that doesn't get this? That is a much more efficient sales approach because of my consolidated knowingness. And they're like, well, I don't know. I need to talk to my cousin. Yeah, no, here's your cousin Tiffany. She was actually the one that sent me over here. How do you know effing Tiffany? She lives like 4 streets over. I literally wrote your name down to eventually talk to you because I talked to her already. Oh, well, then why didn't you say so? Come on. It's like I was able to have those types of conversations because of the way that I used my area management tool, like Repcard, and the
Yeah.
way that I was able to stay consolidated and the way that I was stayed organized. And my sales went way up. It wasn't skill, it was my efficiency and obsession of leverage.
Yeah. Sam, you nailed it on the head. That's our mission at Repcard is ultimately to help make your job more efficient so that you can spend more time with your families, you guys. So we want to help you as much as we can with your tracking, with our follow-up text campaigns, with our scheduling tool that's built inside of the Repcard app. All of these things are built so that you can be more efficient on the doors, close more deals, and ultimately just spend more time at home with the people you love.
Because
So
your mental capacity to remember everybody you're supposed to call back or follow up with, like
every salesperson thinks that they're going to remember. We all think in our heads, like, my ADD's through the roof. I'm like, I got that. I'll remember that. No, we do not remember. You're not going to call the person back. Don't promise that.
yeah, it was just like it's inefficient to think in your head you're just going to remember to call them back or you're going to
Well,
remember every door
optimization.
that told you not
Like,
interested. Like,
we're living in a world where we've got Chat GPT, we've got AI, like it can do our jobs 3 times better than we can in 3 times the amount of, shorter amount of time. So it just shortens everything. We're talking about like these, Mike, you're asking for sales tips and we're talking about these elite performers. Sam, you were one of those in the door-to-door space. And now we've worked with a lot of elite performers that are golden door winners and so on and so forth. What's something that you recognized in these elite performers that they do differently than just your average door-to-door sales rep?
it's interesting. I interviewed Ty Bennett, who's one of the speakers at DoorToDoorCon this week, this week. And he did a big white page study, like surveyed thousands of people and tried to figure out the most effective attributes of high performing people. And, I've kind of like had my thesis, right? Like what makes, I've interviewed over 500 people on the DDD podcast. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've done a lot of like trying to figure that out, but not an actual like research Harvard
Yeah.
study, right? Like, and so what's interesting was preparation was a big one. And it was one that I didn't think about until I was like, oh man, like you think of the most effective salespeople, it's how well are they prepared when they show up to a door, when they show up to a meeting, when they show up to a close. And they haven't done the quick research that maybe took 2 minutes just to think about something clever that could resonate with that customer to make them like you more. They didn't do the quick observe the door before they should knock the door to say, this is probably an old lady that's lived here for 20 years, and she probably is going to give me these objections. So I should probably have some good lines before to make sure she doesn't say those objections. You know what I mean? You think about like preparation. And then number two is adaptability, which was really interesting because I'm like, I love to study people like Harry Mack came to DoorToDoorCon. And for those that don't know Harry Mack, he's like a freestyle rapper. And we've done a lot of improv. So like we did improv in Iceland last week. And I'm fascinated with you take stand-up comedy and how quickly they can adapt and make comedy out of nothing, right? It's all freestyle. And so I find it like in door to door or business, your ability to take an objection or take a problem and know how to use it to your advantage. So let's take improv, for example. It's like if I say, hey, Jess, like, you know, like, let's just say we're doing a skit and I was like, this banana doesn't seem like it's calling anybody. And you're like, why would you be using a banana as a phone? You could be like, well, that's stupid, but in improv, she'd be like, well, that's because you're holding it upside down. That's what makes it funny, right? Like the thing that isn't funny is the obvious of like, you're holding your banana or the banana is not a phone, you idiot. And now that puts stalemate. It creates a conflict. It creates contradiction, right? But if she's like, well, that's because you're holding it upside down, you idiot. Now it creates synergy. It creates fluidity. It creates this like the conversation now can continue to move and create fluidity. Salespeople that don't know how to adapt like that, when they're like, I'm running out the door, you're like, it's being able to have a clever response and being able to say, oh, how can I adapt to this scenario and still solve the problem with fluidity is what makes, to me, a phenomenal salesperson, because you can't just scriptify robotic SDR. Like if the only skill set you have as a salesperson is knowing a script, AI is going to take your job.
Yeah.
If you are somebody that knows how to adapt, like I just did with this banana example, AI will never be able to take that job.
Oh yeah, being personable and likable and easygoing on the doors and being able to take that curveball when the objection comes and work with that wholeheartedly, I think that's huge. So I love the preparation. I think that's massive in anything in life, just preparing for it. Like you've been there, Sam. Like you've gone and run a marathon preparing, and you've also ran a marathon without any preparation.
This
So
last 3 mountain marathons in 3 days was a very good example of the way not to do it.
yeah,
So,
preparation matters whether we, think we're still 19 or not, but like it's preparation matters. The other one that I would say or bring to the table is mental toughness. Like, Sam, you of all people have been trialed with having that mental toughness that it takes to be in the door-to-door space, and also just creating DoorToDoorCon DDD experts. Like you've gotten your teeth kicked in, like you're a business owner, you've been a salesman, and on top of all of it, I just think that, you've had a great supportive family, but there's been times when people didn't believe in you or what you were trying to create. And so that having a level of that mental toughness and emotional discipline on the doors is probably the next best thing that these guys can take back to become an excellent or elite performer.
100%. I think like what's interesting, like I study a lot of give yourself grace, let go, etc. Like, and it's funny, Erwin McManus was like, you hear this phrase, if God willing, or if it was, up to, if it's supposed to happen, it's meant to happen, right? And I think like an elite performer doesn't think that way. They're like, God gave us agency. So get off your ass and make a decision to be good. Not, well, if God wants me to be good, then I'll be good. Like if I want to be an elite, if it's supposed to happen, and I'm like, that's the people that don't ever succeed in this, are the people that don't think like sales is in your control and you have agency to influence a customer, to influence yourself, to influence the ability to have a mindset of positivity and, like you said, resilience. I think, like it's not that top salespeople don't get rejected. It's you just don't hear about their victim,
Yeah.
excuses as much as they do. Like when people watch me door knock, they're like, "Oh, he's human." I'm like, I get my face kicked in harder than most because I push harder than most.
Yeah.
But I move on and I go sell another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of those things that you've done, Sam, that have helped you get that emotional resilience over time? Are there things that you do or practices that you do that are going to help these guys when they get their teeth kicked in to keep going and go to the next door?
So this is also like an interesting study that I've kind of conducted for a while, and you take and validated by Ty Bennett, and it was such a fun pod. When this podcast comes out, if you guys don't listen to DD podcast, it'll come out, I don't know, in a couple weeks. So he's like the interesting part is we looked at the shadow side or the anti things that stop high performers. And most of the time, it has to do with ego. And what he says by this is he says, it's their fear of not looking good. It's the fear of failure. It's if I try and I fail, what is going to happen then?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting, I think the practice that I've been able to kind of just naturally do and unconsciously maybe have done since I was a kid is I had less, I didn't give an F or I didn't care like to just be a goof. You know what I mean? Like that I didn't care of saying something wrong. I didn't care of looking bad. And I just said, let me fail and not it like who effing cares? You know what I mean? And there's definitely been times where like interviewing Lance Armstrong on the main stage and you're sitting there asking him questions and then you're like, show us your uniball and you're like backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. You're like, you know what I mean? But I just said it, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, those came out in front of 3,000 people. That was cool. And he's like, well, that's awkward. And, and I'm not afraid to say something stupid and be like, well, backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. But I just kind of flowed with it. Right.
Yeah.
And there's been many, many, many times that I've done things and probably looked like the biggest idiot in the room and probably should be so red and embarrassed. And people are like, I'm embarrassed more for him than he's probably embarrassed. And I go, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the difference in practice of the high performer is when you're like, I'm more embarrassed for that person that's so embarrassed up there. And it's like, wait a minute, they're on the stage. You're a spectator. You're judging and finding embarrassment for them. If
Yeah.
you wouldn't even dare to get on the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Something that your parents did really taught you guys to be authentic and childlike behavior. I love that so much about your family, Sam. I've seen that, and I'm sure each of you and your siblings kind of have dealt with other emotions through the years and being able to open up and be who you are. But that's something that I really respect about your parents is that they taught you to be authentic, to show up who you are and don't care what people, think about you. Just gaining that self-confidence in yourself. So I love that.
And just start little practice of that. Be like, how do I try something small that may embarrass me? It may fail. And I just test my heartbeat or I have a litmus test that during it or right after it when it does fail, how much do I really care? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Another thing that I want to go back to when you were talking about interviewing Ty Bennett, you were talking about how, we wait for things to fall in our laps. We wait for the next sell to happen. It's not going to happen. And I actually just met with the sales team the other day and was sharing an experience. And probably one of the biggest things that I've learned from you, Sam, was, kind of manifesting to me was like a little bit woo-woo. It was like, yeah, I'm going to go put this out or say these affirmations and it's not really going to come for me. And I believed in like God has a plan for me, but I think that God does have a plan for us and he wants us to also have a plan for our lives and he wants us to go achieve our goals and dreams that we have for ourselves. And so I learned a lot from you and I was sharing the experience that you're probably one of the number one people that I have seen that just those people that are always lucky. Like they always get the front row seat. They always get the best parking spot. They always get let in the back door of the concert and meet the people backstage. They just those lucky people, but it wasn't luck. Like what I realized working with you over time was that you had your mindset that like it was going to work out for you. You had that mindset of I'm manifesting this. It's all going to work out. You guys, Sam and I took about 70 people to Tahiti with an idea, a dream of this experience we wanted them to have happen. And we both knew. I knew because I'd worked with you long enough that like this is going to work out. Like it will happen. And let's go to church. Let's meet everyone we know in town.
We'll
They're going to give
figure
us
out this thing.
we
Yeah.
found connections. We're going to figure it out. And but no, that is a true testament that it's not woo woo. It's not this like crazy far out thing to like manifest or to pave your own path in something. That's truly something that we have to do. We have to just set out a plan and then go after it and not be afraid to fail. But that is the way success happens to people. It doesn't just fall in their lap. They go fight for it and chase it. So and believe with every ounce of their being that it's going to work out. It's going to happen for them.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Gosh, I love this. Sam, we are almost out of time and I don't want to leave people stranded. So if there's anyone on the call, if you guys have questions for Sam, throw them in the chat. We'd love to hear from you guys. Ask him any questions. But while we wrap this up, we've also put the link to DoorToDoorCon in the link just in the chat. You guys can go check it out, purchase your tickets. Are you guys doing any promotional things? What's
Yeah, there's I think that has a promotion. Does it have a promotion right there on it?
Yeah, you know what? This probably has group pricing on it already.
Yeah.
So there's some bulk discounts if you guys buy in bulk. And then are you guys doing any sort of Black Friday
Yeah,
discount?
there's a Black Friday deal coming on like right
Okay.
now. So that's why I was like, well, either that or I'll just give you a Repcard code. So anybody want to just guys go put in Repcard 20 and it'll give you a discount as well. So if you want to just use that code on the link, January 22nd and 23rd, anybody that had the wherewithal the last 50 minutes in the mic with us, I want to give you guys a hookup like right now. So I just made that code real quick. So if you guys, want to use that, go to the link that they just sent. And I can even send you another link, just making sure that works. But reach out, guys. Like we really want to make sure that you guys get taken care of and come out and hang out. And a lot of times people are like, why would I go to this event and why do I need to rub shoulders with these guys? And I'm like, that's like where the world's happening. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize like there's so much stuff happening in our lives and door to door on a regular basis, to where it's like, how do we be in the know and be in the latest cutting edge to make sure that we're selling at the highest capacity and doing it the right way? And guys, we're here to support. Use that code. It's already in there.
Yeah. You guys were always trying to up level and learn and that's another thing, Sam didn't get to where he is without continually learning and educating and putting himself in these rooms with these people. So if you want to learn any more, get yourself to DoorToDoorCon or any of the upcoming boot camps coming up. Repcard also does this webinar every week, you guys. Every Thursday, we're here bringing on amazing guests. We've had Ashton Buswell was last week talking about referrals and reviews and how to build rapport on the doors, which was incredible. So all of these are coming out weekly. They're also in our training library. So if you would like to watch this back, if you missed a portion of it or missed any of our former ones, go ahead and go into the training library and check it out. Just wanted to put a plug for DDDU as well. We've got a lot of the DDDU videos coming out in our Repcard library that we're super excited about, you guys. So go check those out. I know that Sam has revamped a lot of DDDU and it's incredible material with the latest and greatest stuff. So don't stop training. And I think that's it, you guys. Thank you so much, Sam, for jumping on with me today. I sure appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. And Jazz, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
You are too. Have a good one, you guys.